everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and muddy-colored commentator. On today's show, Defined Contribution Plans, part 2 in our series on saving for retirement in your working years. Welcome to the second segment. We're talking about defined benefit and defined contribution plans, but really more defined contribution plans because so many employers have really drifted away from defined benefit plans. That's when they used to say, we already know what the benefit will be at age 65 or 66 if you're full retirement age boomer, or age 70. We already know what that benefit is, so we have to manage our funds in our portfolio to that future benefit. But most people aren't doing this. Now consider this. The United States government, both federal and state, the military are all based on defined benefit plans. So really, all of us who are taxpayers and citizens of the United States are paying for other people's guaranteed benefits when most of us are out here doing defined contribution plans. So we're doing defined contribution plans that's based on our contribution. We don't know what the benefit will be. It'll depend upon the market. It'll depend upon how much we've contributed and how long we contributed. So it's kind of, I've always found it to be kind of an oxymoron that the taxpayer who's paying for most of the guarantees of government and state and federal employees and military, they have all guaranteed benefit pensions and we don't outside. So it's kind of a complaint. That's enough for me. Now I want to talk about some of this now on the defined contribution plan because there's several ideas to look at. Let's just look at some of the basic ones. One is we have a 401k. Most people know about 401ks. And again, if your employer is paying any kind of a match, you should be doing this. Just don't even think about it. Let them take the money out. You're saving money. You're making twice the amount. Even if you kept it in a money market, you'd still be getting a double return because you're getting somebody else to give you the same contribution matching yours. It's really important to go ahead and do that. Now, if you don't have a match, and you don't have a high tax bracket, and especially if you're under 50, I don't know if you should be in any what I call defined contribution plans that are under ERISA. That means it would be 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans, IRAs. If you're in the some of the federal programs, you're in the thrift savings plan. Some of these plans, you shouldn't be in any of these plans. If you're not in a high tax bracket and there's no match, I think you should be outside that. There are 4 different ideas that you should look at and contribute before you even look at this, because I think you'll be money ahead. Remember, all these qualified plans, all the income has no basis when it comes out, so all of it will be taxable. And all of these plans flow over to your Social Security for the provisional income test and will tax your Social Security. So you're not only paying taxes on your qualified plan, you're also paying taxes now on your Social Security benefit. The odds are high that that's going to happen. So I always say, if you really don't need the deduction and you're not getting a defined contribution match from your employer, you may want to consider forgetting what I call the traditional contribution plans. So I'll get to that in a moment. Let's just talk about 401k. That's the big one out in the public domain. I think 401ks are great. When I get a match, I'm doing it all day long. I do it up to the match, but I don't do anything beyond that. I'll tell you why. Number 2, 403bs, the same thing for nonprofit organizations. Many of these organizations still want retirement plans, even though they are a nonprofit and they're not really built, like as an example, a 501c3 is not really built to really make profitability. They're just trying to take care of their employees and keep them and retain them. So they're going to offer a 403b. Or for state and municipal workers, you might have an offer of a 457 plan. Again, if there's any kind of match or any kind of way that they're doing this, I want to do that all day long. And then also thrift plans, if you're sitting in the federal as a federal employee, and some public and private companies actually like doing thrift plans. They're kind of old school, but a lot of people still do them. And another one, of course, is if you're a small organization, you may be doing simple IRAs or simple 401ks. Most companies that are pretty much under about 100 employees or so can be looking at these kind of contracts and these kind of savings plans for their employees. And that's kind of the way to go in a smaller and more what I would call private sector, looking at 401ks and IRAs in the simple plan format. And then the last one, profit sharing or money purchase plans. And these plans are really good. They sometimes can be adjuncts to what you already have. So sometimes you can double up. Keep in mind, as I talked before, there are also non-ERISA plans. Some of them, especially in business, if you're an executive, they call them top hat plans. They're qualified plans. They're usually not deductible. They're some kind of deferred comp or some kind of 162 bonus. And it's there for the key executives, not only for the rainmakers in the organization, but also for the admin people that are running the show. And without their operational skills, this business goes nowhere. So I'm always looking at non-qualified. Now, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about contribution, if you really don't have a match, and you really are in a lower tax bracket, you're not really paying a lot. And remember, we're under a whole new tax. Taxes have come down for most Americans. So you may say, Steve, I really don't have a big tax bracket. I really don't have a match at my employer, or I'm an entrepreneur, so it's just me, Peter, robbing Paul to pay myself. You may want to consider doing the 4 plans that will come out absolutely tax-free, and none of these 4 will injure your Social Security, will not tax your Social Security. They don't fall on the provisional income test for Social Security taxation. So first one is, and you should do this one all day long, HSA accounts. They're totally deductible, and when the money comes out for proper medical premium or proper medical expenses, it's all tax-free. You don't have to wait till your retirement. You can do this anytime, and heads up, one time in your life, the IRS will let you take a number, the annual premium of whatever the top contribution is for married and for a married couple, and take that if you're under 55, and I think it's 65.50, somewhere around that vicinity, maybe it's 67.50. You need to take that number, and you could take one time out of your IRA and make a exchange over to an HSA account, and they'll let you fund it one time in your life. That's the only time you have it. I've been saving my one time. It's coming up here. So you want to be able to look at that. If you're over 55, it's even more than that. You get another $1,000 on top of it as a catch-up provision. I love it. It's tax deductible, and it comes out tax-free as long as it's quarantined to medical premium, long-term care premium, Obamacare premium, all the things that deal with disability, anything that's medical, getting Medicare, it's great. So you want to look at these ideas and say, should I do an HSA and really put a lot of money in it? Yes, because you're going to use this money for medical from the time you start working to the time you die. You'll always spend it down, and if you don't, you can always have Medicare premiums and other premiums you can spend on it. Think about it. Another one that people don't think about is the Roth IRA. Well, listen, if I don't really need the deduction and I don't have a match, why not do the Roth? Because the Roth comes out absolutely free, and it doesn't fall on the provisional income test or Social Security. I love to put my mutual funds and ETFs inside Roth IRAs. If I don't have to worry about the deduction, I'm not getting a match, that's a big way to go. And remember, under the home equity conversion mortgage program, people are still taking reverse mortgage out of their home. That money comes out free. It's not income, it's a loan. So that loan will never fall on the provisional income test. So you're looking at 3 right off the top of my head. HSAs. You're looking at Roth IRAs. You're looking at HECM, home equity conversion mortgage, i.e. reverse mortgage. And the last one, cash value life insurance, as long as it's designed as a TAMRA compliant, and we can get into that some other time when I teach on this. But those 4 income scenarios come out tax-free under current code. And let me tell you something, to have all those 4 come out free and your Social Security come out free, that's 5 different things you could have in income that doesn't have any taxation to it, at least under current code. Keep in mind, the number 2 issue in retirement is long-term care expenses. But the number 1 issue in retirement, without question, is taxes. And total taxes is what we're looking at. When you're looking at basic IRAs, you're looking at the pros and cons. So I want you to always measure, is this good for you or not? It's not only is the fund or the ETF suitable for you, but is the idea, the vehicle that we're using, good for you? So what I'm looking at, weighing the choice, if you have a choice when you open up an IRA, you have to weigh the pros and cons. Should you do a Roth or should you do a traditional IRA? The pros for a Roth, tax-free income at withdrawal and no required minimum distributions. I love that. Cons, remember, adjusted gross income limits, can't deduct it, so there's limits. If you make too much money, you can't do the Roth, and it's not deductible, and requirements to qualify for tax-free withdrawal. So there's some little 5-year rule that you have to kind of obey. If you think, hey, I like the traditional IRA because I want the deduction, again, just make sure if you're in a high tax bracket, I'm all over that. And then remember, when you pull this money out, it's going to be taxable. So if you need a tax bracket, let's say you're doing $250,000 or more, just a gross income, and you may even be paying the Obama surtax 0.9, just have to look at your W-2 and your payroll, see what you're paying it. you could see that, hey, I'm in a high tax bracket, I'm in 35% blended affected bracket, I might want to do that because it's tax deduction. My tax bracket is so high, I need every deduction I can. And remember, there's limits to this, so I'll have to see how much I can do. If I get too big, I might start looking for other avenues like SEP IRA if I'm an entrepreneur, I own my own small business. Looking at this is always weighing the choices. Pro and con, which one should I do? And look at the deductions, how they're gradually taken out for single taxpayers and how they're gradually taken off the board for married. You want to look at your adjusted gross, you want to look at your husband and your wife as a team together when you file and to figure out what you can do. Remember, it's your retirement. These are some of the ideas that we're looking at to make our retirement the best it can. Don't forget to watch our next segment on using rollover IRAs, part 3 in our series on saving for retirement in your working years. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas you hear on the show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.